Facebook Live, Chris Tye alongside Councilman Jeff Johnson from Ward 10 in the city of Cleveland. He is one of about 20-some people running for the mayorship of Cleveland. There's a large field here, Jeff. But the reason we have you here, and we've had a number of folks who are running for mayor at this set, is to kind of let folks have an opportunity to hear from you kind of in an unfiltered way and in a long-form way. So we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for doing this. This
Absolutely.
is outstanding.
We want to do it. And this is a meaningful day because today is the day folks actually need to kind of, the rubber meets the road for folks in your line of work. Explain for folks why today is meaningful, Jeff.
Well, at 4 o'clock at the Board of Election was the deadline for someone to file. So as of now, as we speak, even though I don't know the list, the field has been settled. When it comes to filing, now they have to be confirmed.
So why are so many people running this time that haven't run in the past?
That's a good question.
What do you think the macro story here is?
I think it's the conditions of the city. In some cases, like in my case, I believe it was time for change. In some cases, people like the process, like to be in the spotlight and run. You always have a percentage of people who just like the notion that I'm running for mayor of Cleveland, though they've never been involved at all in government. But for the most part, I think it's because they feel that 12 years is enough and that they want to offer themselves up as alternatives.
If Mayor Jackson were to win again, it would be an unprecedented fourth term. Why is that a bad idea from where you sit?
Well, because of the conditions of the neighborhood. I really believe, as councilman, I've been able to learn up close exactly what's happened over the last 8 years that I've served. And what has happened is that the resources that are needed, both from the public dollars as well as private, have been diverted too much. I believe that the expenditures that we've used of public dollars for downtown projects like the Q Arena, like the stadium, as well as even the chandelier at Public Square was paid for by public dollars. Those type of decisions, that philosophy is something that I believe needs to be changed, and I didn't want to do 4 more years. So I had to present myself, and I believe I can do a better job than Mayor Jackson has done when it comes to improving the neighborhoods. For me, it's about neighborhoods first. Downtown will take care of itself with the private dollars. We need people's money to go where the people are.
And how do you determine where the people are? How do you rank so that folks out there, there's a lot of people running, there's a lot of people, frankly, who feel, as you do, that the money needs to be pushed out into the neighborhoods. How is your vision different than others who feel the money needs to be pushed out into the neighborhoods?
Well, it's 2 things. It's the vision, but it's also the qualifications. You know, we all can have a vision. The question is, what makes that individual have the ability to actually see it through? I have been in public service for over 30 years. I have been a previous councilman. Back in the 80s, I was a state senator for 9 years. I worked for Mayor Campbell's campaign as a director. So I have the experience. I'm an attorney, master's degree, bachelor's degree, so I have the education. So you have to present everything to the folks who are voting. And one is qualifications, experience. Do you want to put the city in the hands of this individual? And why do you think he can do or she can do a better job? So that's the first thing. I think I'm qualified. I think I've proven that. I think I've stand up for people, and I think my record is clear on that. My vision is that I don't believe our city can ever be the great city that people call it right now, as long as this 1/3 poverty rate continues to impact us socially. Crime rates, high crime rates, the violence is a symptom of social factors in the neighborhoods. We have blight and dilapidation, and we have holes in the street, and we have also issues of small business development and job employment needs. How do you get to all of that? You need a plan, and I do have the belief that all 34 neighborhoods need to have their own plans of restoration. And I believe in doing that. So what would they get with me? Would they get this vision that we start with the neighborhoods, we go into each one of these neighborhoods, do the assessment, whether it's Cam's Corner or whether it's Glenville or Mount Pleasant or Clark Metro, each one of them have similar needs, but many of them have separate needs. Cam's Corner doesn't necessarily have the same needs as Glenville. Glenville has a lot of problem with vacant housing, the need to deal with its business district. Cam's Corner doesn't feel like it's getting its fair share.
So let me ask you this. As folks watch this and they say, how can he meaningfully change my life? Talk about the 2 things that I think I hear the most about in this city, which is jobs and schools. How does Jeff Johnson improve both of those things?
First of all, in the schools, the great thing about Cleveland, whether folks voted for it or not, the reality is that the mayor appoints the school board.
Right.
So a mayor can make an impact early on. Education is one of the things that breaks the cycle of violence. You just can't hire more police to deal with violence. You have to break the cycle. I believe that one of the biggest failures that we did was dismantle vocational education in the city of Cleveland, within our system. And without a doubt, what I'm going to do is that no one becomes a member of that school board if they don't commit to vocational education from K through 8 all the way into the graduation out of high school. What does that do? It creates an ability for us to develop and train for jobs. We all not going to go to college. So right now I have in my northeast part of my community businesses that needs welders, they need machinists. There's some tech folks that need folks, and I got all these unemployed people, but the bridge is not working.
There needs to be a practical bridge between the two. So vocational education is, if folks think about a Jeff Johnson administration as far as education is concerned, that's the headline.
Absolutely.
What's the headline in the jobs front? I guess these are tied together, certainly. Is there anything beyond education there?
First of all, investing downtown from the standpoint of economic development and expecting to trickle out in the neighborhoods doesn't create the jobs we need. All the jobs that are needed are going to have to come in the neighborhoods. We grew up, and as a city, I should say, with small industrial manufacturing-based companies in the neighborhoods. My family grew up around the railroads because I grew up in Collinwood and Glenville. That industry helped develop my family. We have to do the same thing. Right now, you'll have manufacturers who are saying, I need to be able to have the support and assistance of government. So first thing, you step into the industrial manufacturing base of our neighborhoods and you solidify it. You go in there with a revamped economic development department of Cleveland. I would expand it. I would have a clear industrial manufacturing plan. I just met with one of my folks over there who does, I'm gonna just call them widgets because I really don't know exactly what they do. But all I know is they go all across the country and the world with them. And he needed to be able to be supported with a $500,000 preferably grant, because they wanted to expand and solidify and stay in the neighborhood. But Cleveland doesn't have those types of resources available just to be able to do that. And then there's the security issues around businesses. So you focus on commerce parks, you focus on the industrial parks where the machinists are, and like over there in the Collinwood area, you got Wendy Incorporated with Dan Moore, who's looking for machinists. You help and become partners with it. Then you got the retail. Of course, you deal with the barbershop, beauty shops, but essentially, you've got to deal with the industrial manufacturing base.
So it sounds to me like most of your talk on jobs is what exists already. What about bringing in new employers? You need to. One thing I think that Mayor Jackson has failed to do is really be a cheerleader to go out and get jobs. You have to be the chief cheerleader of the city to go out. First of all, you prepare the city so that you can bring business in. We have the water, we have the rail, we have the ability to for the location, and you go out and you compete, because we're competing with Pittsburgh, not just on the football field. We're competing them with these businesses, and Pittsburgh is doing a better job than we are in going from the Rust Belt to the more high tech, as well as machinists and all the others. So I say to you that what's lacking is a public-private partnership committed to developing the economics of the neighborhoods, not downtown. I think the public-private partnership is clear downtown. Right. You see them not in the Q deal. They all want the $88 million to come out of Cleveland. But they're not together in determining what happens in the Cleveland neighborhoods. As mayor, I would make that happen. Two final things. One, there has been a lot of news about you and your past throughout this campaign. I'd be remiss if you didn't take a moment to at least talk about the thing. When people think Jeff Johnson, how do you respond to all of the news that surrounded that you have since been exonerated from as a candidate for mayor? Well, first of all, it was 20 years ago, almost 22 years ago, mistakes were made by me, admittedly, relative to how to raise campaign funds while working with local businesses in your ward. That there's a line you can't cross when you're trying to help them in business and you're asking them also to help you with campaign contributions. I messed that up. I was convicted, did 9 months, and I got out. And then ultimately, the Ohio Supreme Court gave me my law license back with a unanimous decision, and then I got my expungement in 2007 because they all looked at the breadth of what I did. So I've been very open about it from the very beginning. So when they look at my candidacy, not only will they look at how educated and how experienced I am, of course they're going to see that as well. So I have asked for forgiveness for that.
and I got elected twice since then. So the same thing here. When they ask me about it, I talk to them about it. I've learned that when you make mistakes, you get up and you learn from them and you become better. And that's what I want to do with many of the citizens here. Many of the citizens in Cleveland need second chances, not just because they may be part of crime, but because they didn't get the education they needed, even though they haven't committed a crime.
Fair. Last thing, because we want to keep all of these to roughly the same amount of time so everybody gets a fair shot. In a nutshell, give me, Jeff Johnson, in 30 seconds, the pitch you would make if folks only have 30 seconds to watch this.
In 30 seconds, I will be the mayor that will change the philosophy of City Hall from this notion that if you invest in downtown, it trickles in the neighborhood. I would reverse that. It's about identifying every aspect of our 34 neighborhoods, determining what makes them great, determining what their weaknesses are, and then combining the organizing of the people with the private sector to fix it. And so that we can have our people in the neighborhood to enjoy the benefits of a great city that many of the other folks are benefiting right now. And that's what I would say. I'm a neighborhood's first person, and that's what it's about.
Ward 10 Councilman Jeff Johnson, mayoral candidate in September is when everybody goes to the polls.
12th.
I guess by August you can start the early voting.
August 15th.
We wish you luck. Thank you so much for making time.